Retro Road Test Peugeot 309 vs Toyota Corolla, 1988, UK Spec. Introduction. In the late 1980s, Britain's roads were a wonderfully eclectic mix, from Morris Minors on borrowed time to gleaming new front-wheel drive hatchbacks vying for family car supremacy. Two contenders that frequently shared traffic lights and petrol forecourts were the Peugeot 309 and the Toyota Corolla. Both offered sensible performance, practical packaging and a promise of reliable motoring, but as any motorist from the era will tell you, there was more to life than dry stats. There was personality. So we've taken both online spec sheets, classic brochures and a healthy dose of nostalgic imagination to deliver the ultimate 1988 road test between these two stalwarts of the UK roads. The contestants at a glance. Lion Peugeot 309. Produced by Peugeot, France. Class, compact hatchback. Engines, 1988 UK. 1.1 litre petrol petty but perky. 1.4 litre petrol reasonably sprightly. 1.6 litre petrol would rather be on the auto route. 1.9 litre petrol GTI, proper fun asterisk. Drive, front-wheel drive. Gearbox, 5-speed manual, mostly, optional 3-speed auto, on some trims. Notable trim, GTI, for those who wanted a bit of zing. Tiger Face Toyota Corolla. Produced by Toyota, Japan. Class, compact hatchback. Engines, 1988 UK. 1.3 litre petrol fuel-sipping civil servant. 1.6 litre petrol steady and sensible. 1.6 litre diesel dull but thrifty. Drive, front-wheel drive. Gearbox, 5-speed manual, optional 4-speed auto. Notable trim, XL and GL, practical classics of the day. Chapter 1, First Impressions. Peugeot 309. Climbing into the Peugeot 309 feels like turning up to a French dinner party in stylish yet unpretentious attire, perhaps a striped jumper, scuffed loafers and an air of gene size coy. The seats are comfortable enough, and visibility is excellent thanks to upright glass and slim pillars. You never feel buried like in some contemporary slab-sided hatchbacks. The dashboard is straightforward, with simple dials and controls that say, "I'm here to do a job." Boot space is decent, not cavernous, but sufficient for shopping, a weekend picnic or, if pressed, a couple of golf clubs. The 309's interior trim feels reasonably put together, although Peugeot's affinity for odd storage cubbies and trays means you'll never be short of somewhere to stash your receipts, chewing gum and traffic tickets. If the Peugeot 309 were a person, it'd be that slightly eccentric friend who turns up late but always brings excellent biscuits. Toyota Corolla. The Corolla greets you with the dependable smile of a school teacher who's been doing the job well for years. Everything feels familiar, solid plastics, logical switchgear and seats that won't win design awards but certainly won't complain after a long run to Devon. Toyota made its name in the 1980s by being almost painfully sensible, and the Corolla embodies that. There's a reassuring absence of frills, and what you gain is a sense that everything has been thought through. If you put your hand down where a compartment should be, it's there. Need a door pocket? Yep, Toyota's thought of that too. The Corolla's interior feels like a well-laid-out toolbox, nothing fancy, but everything in its place and likely to stay there. If the Corolla were a person, it'd be a punctual, well-organized cousin who always offers you a cup of tea, but rarely surprises you. Chapter 2, Engine Lineup and Performance. Peugeot 309 engines. Let's break this down like a mechanic with a penchant for theatrics. Goat 1.1-liter petrol. Small, chirpy, and perfect for town runs, though on motorways it coughs politely and says, "Are you sure about this?" More suited to roundabouts than round Britain. Automobile 1.4-liter petrol. A credible everyday engine. It doesn't set the world alight, but you never feel embarrassingly short-changed either. Cruise around the A roads with reasonable confidence. Fox Face 1.6-liter petrol. Here we start to see a bit of zest. Overtaking becomes straightforward rather than an act of faith. Trips to distant seaside towns suddenly feel doable. Smiling face with sunglasses 1.9-liter GTI. This is the one that puts a grin on your face. The 309 GTI may not match modern hot hatches, but in 1988 it punched above its weight. Revvy, eager and fun, it gives the Peugeot some genuine personality and made many a school run feel like a short sprint special. Toyota Corolla engines. Toyota's engine range is the textbook definition of sensible. Teacup without handle 1.3-liter petrol. Very modest output. You'll make progress in town and on A roads, but you'll find motorways a bit of a procession. That said, it's ultra reliable and easy on fuel, exactly what many buyers wanted. Road 1.6-liter petrol. The sweet spot for most UK drivers. Adequate performance, decent fuel economy, and enough poke to feel comfortable on longer journeys. Doesn't thrill, doesn't scold, just gets on with it. Turtle 1.6-liter diesel. Diesel was a thing people endured for fuel economy. Slow, coarse and diesel smelly by modern standards, but capable of impressive miles per gallon if you could tolerate the grind and clatter. Chapter 3, On the Road. Driving Dynamics, Peugeot 309. There's a bit of French flair in the 309's handling. It steers with a lightness that makes town driving pleasant and molds nicely through country bends. It's not a sports car, not by a long shot, but compared to many contemporaries it feels more engaging than austere alternatives. In the GTI, the 309 becomes downright entertaining. The steering tightens, the revs climb eagerly, and while the suspension isn't Michelin star restaurant smooth, it's composed enough to imbue confidence. The 309's ride quality is generally supple, softening potholes better than some German rivals of the time. It doesn't entirely banish them, certain Yorkshire lanes will still test its suspension, but it's agreeable for everyday use. Driving Dynamics, Toyota Corolla. The Corolla is about calm competence. Turn the wheel and it goes where you expect. There's no dramatic body roll, no ambiguous responses, just the satisfying feel of engineering that has been refined rather than radicalized. Country lanes are neutral and predictable, motorway cruising is serene, and town traffic feels effortless. The suspension favors comfort. You won't feel every stone on the B road, which some might find slightly floaty, yet many will appreciate the gentle ride. There's a zen quality to driving a Corolla in 1988, it never surprises, it never demands drama, and it gets you from A to B in a quiet, unpretentious fashion. Chapter 4, Ride Comfort and Practicality. Peugeot 309. Inside, the Peugeot feels a bit more continental than some of its rivals. The seats are comfortable and supportive, though perhaps a tad firm on longer jaunts. Controls are well laid out if slightly idiosyncratic. Once you've memorized where Peugeot decided to put the hazard lights, you're golden. Storage is reasonably clever, with door bins and cubbies that make sense. The boot enjoys a respectable capacity, no Land Rover, but capable enough to swallow a pram, suitcase and picnic hamper with room to spare. Rear seat space is adequate for adults, though taller passengers might wish for a smidge more knee room. For the typical family of the time, 2 adults, 1 or 2 kids, maybe a shaggy dog, it's perfectly workable. Toyota Corolla. Seat comfort in the Corolla feels familiar in a reassuring sort of way. Plush enough for long runs, firm enough for town bustle. The layout is straightforward, knobs where knobs should be, stalks that behave, and instrumentation that's unambiguous. Storage isn't flamboyant, but it's sensible. The boot carries a decent haul, weekly shopping plus golf bag. No bother. Rear legroom is slightly superior to the 309S, making it a touch better for grown-ups in the back. Toyota also gives a sense of durability about the cabin, fewer rattles, less pretension and a reassuring solidity that speaks to a long life on UK roads. Chapter 5, Economy and Running Costs. Peugeot 309. Fuel economy is respectable, especially on the smaller engines. Expect mid-30s miles per gallon in mixed driving with the 1.4 litre and creeping towards high 30s on steady A-road runs. The 1.9 litre GTI, while fun, is a bit more thirsty, but ask any enthusiast and they'll tell you it's worth it. Servicing costs are reasonable, though French cars of the era occasionally required a patient hand and familiarity with slightly quirky electrical bits. Insurance groups were generally middle of the road, with the GTI obviously nudging into the higher brackets, but not obnoxiously so. Toyota Corolla. This is where the Corolla really shines. Toyota's engines, especially the 1.3 and 1.6 petrols, are famously frugal and tough. Mid-30s to low 40s miles per gallon is typical for everyday driving, with some owners consistently breaking into the high 40s on gentle cruising. Running costs, frankly, are a Corolla highlight. Toyota's reputation for reliability means fewer unexpected bills, and parts are plentiful. Insurance is typically modest, and resale value remains strong thanks to the brand's sterling reputation. If you measure peace of mind in miles per gallon, the Corolla returns excellent value. Chapter 6, Safety and Equipment. Peugeot 309. By 1988 standards, safety gear is sensible. Seat belts for all, decent crumple zones and a robust body structure. Some trims offer central locking, electric windows and a rudimentary stereo, not lavish, but adequate for the day. Anti-lock braking, ABS, was not yet common in this class, a sign of simpler times when most drivers didn't know what they were missing. Toyota Corolla. Toyota offers similar basic safety equipment, seat belts, sturdy construction and dependable brakes. Corolla's reputation for build quality translates into a feeling of solidity and safety that buyers appreciate. Equipment levels are sensible, not flashy. Some GL trims include nicer upholstery, better sound system and extras like a trip computer, a luxury tick for 1988. Chapter 7, Personality and Everyday Reality. Let's put our cynicism aside for a moment and speak frankly. A car isn't just about cubic capacities and turning circles, it's about feel. And here's where our two contenders part company. Peugeot 309, the charming charmer. The 309 has character. It's not brash or loud, but it has that quirky edge that makes you smile when you slide behind the wheel. It's the sort of car that feels like it appreciates being driven, not revved to death, but given a bit of life on a twisty lane. It has a French flair that says, I'm competent, cultured and not afraid of a bit of fun. The GTI even adds a sporty badge to the proceedings, and genuine performance to match. It's not perfect, certain bits feel a tad dated even in 1988, but it has something intangible that lifts it above beige box on wheels mediocrity. Toyota Corolla, the reliable rock. The Corolla doesn't flirt with drama. It doesn't make grand promises it can't keep. Instead, it delivers exactly what you expect, and often a little more. Day in, day out, it's a car you can count on. Rain, shine, snow or the odd roundabout you missed, Corolla just gets on with it. It lacks the flair of the Peugeot, but gains a zen-like calm. If you want predictable handling, excellent fuel economy and a cabin that survives sticky children and muddy trainers without complaint, this is your steed. It's the tortoise to the 309's agile hare, and there's no shame in that. Chapter 8, Summary Comparison Table, 1988 Spec. Aspect Peugeot 309 Toyota Corolla. Design character quirky French charm calm, sensible Japanese reliability. Engine choices 1.1 1.9 liter, GTI thrills, 1.3 1.6 liter, petrol /diesel. Ride quality composed, supple comfortable, predictable. Handling light, engaging neutral, undramatic. Interior practicality clever, decent logical, roomy. Fuel economy good, 1.4/1.6, generally excellent. Running costs reasonable very low. Reliability good, but French quirks excellent, stout reputation. Driver appeal zesty, especially GTI, calm, trustworthy. Overall personality stylish underdog steady all-rounder. Conclusion, which should you have picked in 1988? The eternal question. If you were shopping in 1988 with a smile on your face and a touch of adventurous spirit, the Peugeot 309, especially in GTI form, would have been a joy. It turned mundane commutes into engaging little excursions and had a bit of flair that made it feel alive. French cars may have had a reputation for eccentricity, yet the 309 translated that into character rather than outright caprice. On the other hand, if your priority was sheer reliability, low running costs, dependable performance and that blissful feeling of everything just working, the Toyota Corolla was, and remains in classic circles, an absolute gem. You could trust it through winter fog, school runs, motorway miles and Sunday shopping without once questioning whether it would cough, hiccup or demand another trip to the garage. So here it is, in the spirit of fair judgment. If you wanted fun and flair, Peugeot 309. If you wanted dependable gravity, Toyota Corolla. Both have their charms, and both captured the essence of 1988 British motoring in their own way. Whether you were beep beep in a GTI or hum hum in a Corolla GL, life on the UK roads was undeniably better for having both of these classics around. If you enjoyed this content and feel able to, please do like it or follow my blogs, Spotify and YouTube channels or Facebook channel, it would mean and help an awful lot. Thank you.